Okay, so we've had a lot of developments with the flotilla over the last couple of days. This was a very touching video of the moment that the Meccano made history by becoming the first ship to break Israel's blockade of Gaza since 2009. I think they got 7 miles from the shore. So here's people from the shore thanking God when they see the ship.
الله أكبر الله أكبر لبوا النداء الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر جاءت من أجل هؤلاء الأطفال الذين ينتظرون هذه السفن.
Another very touching moment here. The flotilla didn't get through, but by a small miracle, the distraction of the boats on the IOF, it gave the Palestinians enough time to fish. Yes, that is correct. Palestinians are not allowed to fish in their own waters without being shot. So this is a small victory. And here's a little video of that.
محمد عمران ماهر محمد ماهر ماهر
So this is from Jackson Hinkle. The reaction to the capture of the flotilla and the imprisonment of its members was swift and worldwide. Millions took to the street to support the global Samud flotilla. This is a compilation of just some of the protests that took place. Kuala Lumpur, Paris, Italy, all over New York, arrested here, Mexico. They blocked the Brooklyn Bridge on Yom Kippur. So this is resident sick fuck in a nation of sick fucks. He's kind of the bull goose sick fuck in Israel. Yeah. Ben Gvir here, lecturing the flotilla members and calling them terrorists. Now, I'm going to read it. It looks like they did translation AI, and the translation's not perfect, but you can get the gist of it. These are terrorists. Because they're murderers, by the way. Their ships were found completely frozen. They didn't really come to help.
מה זה פה?
They're holding humanitarian aid here. There's one cargo container. I don't see anything here. There was one cargo container here. What kind of chemicals do they have here? Neither aid nor humanitarian. So this is the story they're trying to go with, that they weren't actually visiting aid. It was like a party boat or something. Yeah, you're gonna risk your life to go and have a big rave on these boats.
I got news for you. Any activist who gets on that flotilla is gonna get tons of pussy for the rest of their life. So they don't need to get it there, right?
That's
They're gonna
true.
be very, very popular.
Although
circles.
I mean, that could be a motive. It could be a motive.
Could be a motive, but I'm saying, why would they do that on the boat?
Listen, man,
they could have a whole lifetime for
survive
that.
This, you're going to be knee deep in pussy. Okay?
I'm sure.
Trust me.
Yeah.
All right. So if you know any Christian Zionists, show them this video. Okay. You can come back. It'll be in our live stream. It'll be up there. We don't paywall. Show them this. This is Ben Gvir, the Secretary Minister of Israel, explaining how spitting on Christians should not be a crime.
Let me
take it back. First, there is an ancient Jewish tradition. When we, the Jews, pass by a monastery or priest, we spit. We can agree or disagree, but when we spit on the priest or the church, I do not think this expresses any violation. So the interviewer says, must we practice every ancient Jewish tradition? You tell me. No, this is not the topic. The issue is, why do we turn this into a criminal matter? He doesn't think it should be criminalized, spitting on Christians. Now, I'm just going to tell you, look, man, I'm an honest guy. If when I was growing up, my aunt said to me, we're passing by a church, Russell, spit, I would tell you, I never heard that in my life. I've never heard that in my life. Sounds like an Israeli custom. Sounds like it is. So if by ancient you mean 76 years, I guess, but I never heard of that in my life. We have Hasidic neighborhoods, Crown Heights here, sections of Williamsburg. I'd never seen that done. I've never seen the Orthodox walk by a church and spit. I've never seen that here in America. Even the most ultra-Orthodox Hasidic, I've never seen them do anything like that.
I had Jewish grandparents. I had Catholic grandparents. They didn't see eye to eye on everything, but they didn't spit.
They didn't spit at each other.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's Ben Gvir. He's very proud of himself here. Here he is in the prison bragging about how they're going to treat the flotilla members on a humanitarian aid mission that, by the way, they took illegally in international waters as terrorists. Minister, where are we? Now we are in how do you say it? We are in Siot prison.
Siot prison, yeah.
Which is kind of infamous.
Kind of sounds
and
like
as I
Sikot.
promised, yeah, exactly. It's the Sikot of Israel. And as I promised, those terror-supporting flotilla activists are here in a high-security prison. And we are done playing around. They are treated the same as terrorists. Same cells, same circumstances. This means the bare minimum. That's what I promised, and that's what I will do. Okay. It's kind of complicating the lives of the official spokespeople trying to claim they haven't been abused, but okay. So this is from PBS by way of the AP. Released Gaza flotilla activists allege mistreatment while being detained in Israel. Some 450 activists were arrested as Israeli forces intercepted the global Samud flotilla, a fleet of 42 boats seeking to break Israel's naval blockade of Gaza and deliver a symbolic amount of aid to the famine-stricken territory. Those detained between Wednesday and Friday were brought to Israel, where many remain in prison. The Israeli Foreign Ministry said it offered voluntary deportation to all of the activists, and those that remain in detention chose to stay there in order to go through a legal deportation process. Now, if that is indeed true, based on previous interceptions of flotillas, they're probably trying to force them to sign a confession of guilt and agreement never to enter Israel again. And that is probably what they're refusing to do, if anything. On his return at Rome's Fiumicino airport late Saturday, Italian journalist Saverio Tomasi said Israeli soldiers withheld medicines and treated prisoners like monkeys. Israel's foreign ministry, meanwhile, said the claims of mistreatment were brazen lies. Among those detained were Swedish activist Greta Thunberg, Nelson Mandela's grandson Mandela Mandela, and several European lawmakers. Another Italian journalist, Lorenzo D'Agostino, said detainees were repeatedly woken during the 2 nights he spent behind bars. They were also intimidated with dogs and by soldiers pointing the laser sights of their guns at prisoners to scare us, he said, after landing at Istanbul airport, where 137 activists from 13 countries arrived from Israel on Saturday. D'Agostino added that his belongings and money had been stolen by the Israelis. Activist Paulo de Montes described being crammed into a prison van for hours with his hands secured by zip ties. Quote, constant stress and humiliation, he said. You weren't allowed to look them in the face. Always had to keep your head down. And when I did look up, a man came and shook me and slapped me on the back of the head. They forced us to stay on our knees for 4 hours. So this is some of the released Flotilla members. 137 were released. I believe they've released now another 29 subsequently, but that means you've still got about 300 Flotilla members still in captivity.
Palestine! Free, free, free Palestine! Thank you, Allahu Ekber! Thank you! Bravo! Bravo!
It's just amazing when you see the footage of these activists. I mean, it's really people from all over the world of goodwill. I mean, this is what you really see if you travel, if you look at how, people really are in different countries, different societies. Most people are pretty decent. It's leaders, it's the ruling classes that are evil. Your average person on the ground is pretty human. So this is a compilation of 3 of the activists that landed in Turkey talking about what the conditions are in the prison.
Greta Thunberg, a brave woman who is only 22 years old, she was humiliated and wrapped in an Israeli flag and exhibited like a trophy. I had the feeling of being in a really barbaric place, and I really hope that this barbarism might be over soon. First, we were kidnapped in international waters. Then they took us to land, and once on land, they behaved like a terrorist group. People were kicked. We were left without fresh water for over 2 days. Overall, they took every opportunity to humiliate any of us. We were treated like terrorists because we thought we were terrorists. So I was unlucky enough to get out just while Ben-Gvir was coming. And so the police used very, very tight handcuff on us that stopped our circulation. They blindfolded us and they put us in a van with barely any clothes and with very, very low temperature. So high conditioning that was freezing. And they kept us there for probably 3 hours.
That prison was awful.
Oh, I bet it was.
Wow. In the gym,
Yeah.
no food, no water. My broken leg, the girl said.
There's a 70-year-old Scottish woman who went on the flotilla. She had a broken leg.
To me, oh, what happened to your leg? I said, it's broke. She slammed the metal door on it and went, sorry.
No. Oh my God.
Horrible, horrible.
Biz bir güzel protesto ettik.
He said these are
O koca çeneni
terrorists. Turn this down. We protested Ben-Gvir very well. Shut your big mouth, you genocidal filth, I said. Maybe she should fill in for me when I'm in Asia.
kapat soykırımcı pislik diye. O bizi de
I think that was a
beraberinde
slogan that
ondan
made the
sonra
prison
sanıyorum
conditions
hapishane
more
koşullarını,
difficult for us
daha çetrefilli hale
afterwards.
getiren bir slogandı
yeah.
o. Hiç
I'm not
pişman değilim
sorry we
attığımız için.
threw it.
Bence
said
doğrusunu
it.
yaptık.
I think we
Kanla
did the
yazılmış
right
yazılar
thing.
vardı.
There were writings written in
Annelerin,
blood. It's so
evlatların ismini
painful.
yazdığını
We
gördük.
saw that mothers had
Hücrelerinde
written the names of their children on the walls of the cells. How fucking horrible.
varlarına. Filistinlilerin yaşadığı şeyleri
We
bir
actually
nebzesini yaşamış
experienced a
olduk
little bit
aslında.
of what the Palestinians have
Su
been through.
vermediler.
They didn't give us
Temiz
water,
su.
clean water.
Tuvaletlerden
They
su
told us to
içmemizi
drink
söylediler.
water from the toilets
Yani
and
bu ve
things like
benzeri
that.
şeyler.
Were you left
Tabii
hungry?
36,
Of course.
40 saate
We didn't eat for
yakın,
about
yemek almadık.
36 to 40 hours.
It's kind of wild, but
Okay. All right. So
So it's
and
torture, basically.
Yeah, these stories are very consistent.
Yeah.
Multiple people tell the same stories about them waking them every 2 hours so that they couldn't get proper sleep, of drinking the toilet water. Several of them have told this story. Being put in freezing air conditioning. Several of them have told the same story. So yeah, I mean, of course they tortured them. What did you expect? So this is what the foreign ministry responded. The claims regarding the mistreatment of Greta Thunberg, we'll get into that in more detail, and other detainees from the Hamas Sumud flotilla as they're calling it, are brazen lies. All the detainees' legal rights are fully upheld. Interestingly enough, Greta herself and other detainees refused to expedite their deportation and insisted on prolonging their stay in custody. Greta also did not complain to the Israeli authorities about any of these ludicrous and baseless allegations because they never occurred. Hang on. She didn't go to the people who were torturing her to help her with the torture? You're kidding me.
Right.
You're kidding me. Like I said, Ben Gvir, they need to coordinate their messaging here because he's very proud of the torture. He says right here, I am proud that the Flotilla activists are being treated as terrorists. This is my policy. I am proud of the prison staff acting in accordance with the policy set by Commissioner Kobe Jacoby, otherwise known as bartender number 3 in the Mos Eisley Cantina in episode 6. I was on their ships. I saw neither aid nor humanity. I visited Siout prison. Can you tell I got kicked out of Hebrew school? And was proud that we treated the Flotilla activists as supporter of terrorism. Anyone who supports terrorism is a terrorist and deserves the same conditions applied to terrorists. So, man, your security minister is admitting that they're torturing these people.
They said they were going to. They said they were
going to.
Before the flotilla left, they said they would.
So the flotilla responded here. You have misrepresented a peaceful humanitarian mission, the global Samud flotilla, as the Hamas Samud flotilla. That alone exposes the falsity of your claims. The world has seen your brutal crimes. No one is falling for your lies anymore. Hear, hear. And Anes Salah here makes a very good point. People should know that if eyes weren't on the flotilla, Israel would have just lined up the activists and shot them dead. You think that's hyperbole? They did it before. Linda Mahmoud, Israel wants you to think this started 2023. Here you go. After joining the deadly 2010 Gaza flotilla, I'm now sailing again. I'm worried Israel will kill us. Iwa Jesuits, a British-Polish activist and journalist, was on board the 2010 Gaza aid flotilla in which 9 activists were killed. They killed because no one was paying attention. They get away with it. International governments have their citizens held, and for the most part, they aren't doing anything about it. What did everybody go to the island? Macron,
Yeah.
They might have pictures of his wife's dick. We don't know.
Yeah, we don't know.
Israel has
deny.
kidnapped. Yeah, maybe. Israel has kidnapped 4 French elected officials in international waters, including MEPs Rima Hassan and Emma Farrow. Their crime? Bringing baby formula to starving children in Gaza. They are still illegally languishing in Israeli dungeons and not a peep from Macron. They are not among the release. You have French members of government being held. Where's Macron? If any other country did this, can you imagine?
Of course.
Can you imagine if Malaysia were holding a bunch of French politicians? They'd go berserk. And we're no exception, right? You hear Trump saying anything about this? I thought America first, right?
Yeah.
23 American citizens are still being held in Israeli prisons. There's a little video about that.
Wild, but 23 Americans are currently being held by the Israeli regime, kidnapped off the flotilla. Are you surprised that they're holding on to Americans?
No, not at all, because Israel knows that it can do whatever it wants to our government and in spite of our government. And it has shown since the days of the USS Liberty that it does not care what it does to our citizens, because our government doesn't care enough to rescue its citizens against its main partner in genocide.
Yep. So now, why does America not get involved in this? Well, DropSite just dropped this a couple days ago. Definitely check it out. They've been doing some good work. Larry Ellison vetted Marco Rubio for fealty to Israel. Hacked emails reveal. Okay. All right. So normally it would be the State Department that would be making diplomatic efforts to get American citizens released from captivity who have been illegally imprisoned as part of a humanitarian mission taken illegally in international waters. Marco Rubio's not going to do that. That's your fucking president. That's your president, not Donald Trump. Your president's Larry Ellison. That's why America's not going to do anything about it. And I'm sure there's some equivalent there in France and so on. That's why these countries won't do anything for their citizens. Abby Martin here tweeted out, a new flotilla of 11 ships is now sailing to Gaza. Without big names aboard, they're more vulnerable. Keep eyes on them. Absolutely. Absolutely. We don't want to not pay attention to this because Greta Thunberg's not on the boat, because we know the Israelis. They'll take that as an opportunity to blow these people out of the water. So here's a video they put out. It looks like this flotilla is stacked with a lot of journalists and medical professionals. A lot of people from Doctors Without Borders on these ships.
Well, Israel doesn't hurt journalists. We know that.
Oh, yeah.
Conscience on our way to Gaza. We woke up this morning to find that one of our colleagues from MSF has been killed in Gaza. Omar Hayek is his name, and he will not be forgotten by us. Neither will the 13 who were killed before him be forgotten. We are bringing aid and hope and courage to our colleagues who remain in Gaza.
We, the healthcare workers on board the Conscience, demand the world to give us safe passage as the Geneva Convention gave protection to all the healthcare workers of the world in whatever circumstances, even in Gaza when the genocide is raging on.
So Israel, you know, we can see in the way they're trying to manage the narrative here, the way they're trying to buy up media companies through their proxies like Larry Ellison, desperately struggling to stop conversation about what's happening in Gaza and to stop the momentum that's built up towards people seeing the truth of what Israel is, a genocidal ethno-state, an apartheid ethno-state. You can't get that toothpaste back in the tube, man. It's too late. These protests over the weekend, I think, are a big part of why we're looking for an explanation, why all of a sudden is Trump seemingly trying to get some distance from Netanyahu and spend some political capital to end this. I think these protests are getting so big and so global, it's starting to actually make the people at the top nervous. They see that they are losing control of the narrative and they've lost control of the population. Italy had 2 million people protesting. What, you think Ellison's going to buy TikTok and all of a sudden everyone's going to go back to, well, it's complicated. It's right. Nobody's buying that anymore. And this is where the mask of liberal democracy comes off, and you find out in the end you were living in fascism and you really didn't know it. This is how they behave when they lose control of the population. They become increasingly repressive. And if you think there's really a division between the liberal class and the MAGAs, Trump is there to do these things because they can't. It doesn't really accord with their image. I mean, they do. You know, they cracked the Occupy Wall Street heads under Obama. We saw what was going on the college campuses under Biden. But you gotta put somebody in office who has explicitly run on fascism to really go to the level that Trump has gone to. They wanted somebody like that in power to do the things that Trump is doing. And then when and if they put some, Gavin Newsom person in there, they'll scale back a little bit, but it's the ratchet effect. Now you've normalized people getting grabbed off the street. So now all you have to do is grab them off the street a little less.
Well, you also, I mean, speaking of protests, I think the protests inside Israel were big enough for Trump to finally turn the screws on Netanyahu, because once Trump and Hamas agree on terms to release hostages and Israel responds by bombing more, right? And then Trump has to say, hey, stop it, knock it off. Well, that is as clear a signal as you could possibly send to your own people, your own Israeli people, that you as a government do not give a fuck about any of these hostages. So I think that is a major escalating point as well. And the global protests in response to the flotilla. I also think the treatment of the people on this flotilla is meant to deter future flotillas, because even though this flotilla did not make it to the Gaza shore, they penetrated Gaza waters for the first time since any flotilla in 16 years. And so they did make it quite a bit further than any flotilla has in the recent past. And because the Israeli Navy was out apprehending these ships, apprehending these vessels, rather, the Palestinians were able to fish their own waters for the first time in a long time. So they got some food anyway. And so that gives people the idea, hey, let's just send more and more boats as often as possible. And so as a deterrent, yeah, they're going to rough these people up who are part of this mission. And what are their governments going to do about it? That's the most pathetic thing. That's the most pathetic thing. But that's also a function of empire, right? I mean, if Israel is armed to the teeth with our backing, what is France next to Israel and the United States? What are these countries? What can they do? This is where the entire world becomes a prison, when you have an out of control imperial power that's just willing to brutalize whoever gets in its way at all. Like, what are some of these countries supposed to do? What can they do at the end of the day when you're dealing with a state as vicious as Israel with the backing of a state as powerful as ours? It's an impossible situation to be in. It's a smaller world than you realize when you think of it that way, right?
Well, I mean, obviously the answer is you cut off all trade and you make that country a pariah, which Israel would not survive 10
minutes. Well, that's going to happen. I mean, that's going to happen. But we're talking about in the immediate term. How do you get the people out?
Right.
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 Yeah. But no, I mean, that's going to happen. Obviously, that's on its way.
Please clap.